Is it very windy here, or did you just take my breath away?
Oh my God.
Sweet Home, Alabama. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the StarCraft Tour Championship Series. I'm Nathan. I'm joined by Roddy. And I had a line in my head, and I just lost it completely. It's fine.
The delivery was great, though.
No one will remember it. So.
The delivery was great. I'll give you that. So while you were thinking of beautiful poetry lines, I was like, let's take a look when the last time these two guys played against each other, because I'm like, well, I actually can't remember seeing a Hellraiser against GunGFu match, but I'm sure this happened, right? Wrong. They've never played against each other.
Literally never played.
Maybe
ever.
on the ladder, but
in the history. No, Kevin, this is officially canon in the StarCraft lore. This is the first time Hellraiser and GunGFuBanDa will literally have ever interacted with each other. It's like
there's a good chance that that's the truth.
This is our Marvel DC crossover happening right now. Okay. What did you think of that last PvP?
A bit messy, like you guys said, a bit of a slobber knocker, as I think Maynard would call it. Now, like just a lot of work is going down, obviously, on either side. Some interesting opening build order choices. I must say, I felt there was more potential for Hellraiser. Like, even on the game he won, I felt like the first time he should have been able to hold that a little bit more convincingly than he actually did. And the second time, I think he utilized the Prism a bit better. But even in that final fight in Game 3, I'm like, first of all, where is the Prism? And second of all, like, Prisms, they utilize so much, especially since, in the end, like, basically all the silly units are gone. And it comes down to a couple of power, like, Immortal and Archons.
Yep.
If you can get one Archon in range of the Immortals, and you shoot the middle of 3 Immortals, all 3 barriers activate, they disappear, and then you have your own Immortals, and if they target fire, like, I know you're asking a lot, but yeah, if all the Zealots are gone, that's kind of what you can prioritize, and you don't want to have your Immortals shoot at Archons and stuff like that. But it was an overall pretty fun series with, I think the DT harassment was really good by Drogo as well, by the way. Last game.
Yeah. Being able to get into the third base and the main base in that fight was really nice, and a lot of it comes down to the micro, as you're talking about with the War Prism and whatnot.
You had me cracking up, by the way, because I was just like listening to you guys. I was really watching, and then you're describing Zealots with charge as the Chadlots, and I think it's such a silly meme. Like,
they're pretty good, mate.
They are pretty good. I would never say Zealots are not good, but why would you call them Chadlots?
It's just, you take one of them, one of those little guys from Brood War, and you're like, you versus the guy she tells you not to worry about, and it's a +3 charge lot. I'm just saying.
Alrighty, guys, we're getting ready for the lower bracket match of the last group in the round of 16 of WCS Europe. On the left top side of Acropolis, we're looking at the main base of the Ukrainian Protoss, representing Clash. It is Hellraiser.
Also, since it's PvP, it can't be misconstrued as balance, because they all have the same tools against each other.
Chad against Tyler.
Yeah, exactly. In the bottom right, his opponent, the blue Protoss player. He is GunGFuBanDa.
What did you think of GunGFu in his first series of the day against Raynor, since you didn't cast those games?
You know, I think air stuff is weird. I feel like there's a reason why people attack Zerg early.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't like Corruptors, to be like pretty blunt about it. I think that with the speed upgrades that they've gotten, they got all these buffs to deal with carriers when carriers were overpowered. But then carriers got nerfed and Corruptors are still the same that they were before. So doing anything air related is really, really hard to do, and I think we got to see that pretty clearly. So I think going late game versus Zerg is always going to be rough, and that they probably should have just tried to all-in him a little bit harder. As soon as I see a mothership in PvZ, I'm just like, I don't know what exactly the plan is anymore. But
it's really
there were some windows, right? Because he forgot like Baneling speed in the game on Thunderbird. I'm like, there's like if he had been posturing to do something, there was a really big opportunity there.
Because he had Blinkstalkers, he had Sentries, he had Colossus. If you compare those two armies, like there are scenarios where Zerg barely kills a unit there. Like if you drop some good force fields, slow Banes, just a couple of Lings, few Roaches, barely any Ravages. Like there was actually a lot of potential in both games. Because I think in the first game, GunGFu had an excellent start as well. Like I said, I know a lot of you guys just probably woke up and maybe missed the beginning of the show.
Yeah, you're right. He was doing pretty well in the beginning of the first map, too.
Yep, no, absolutely. But GunGFu made a little tweet saying that he basically had a very long night. He had some social activity.
Did he, though?
Yep, and he said he has absolutely no game plan, but he plays Protoss, check, and it's going to be all right.
Hellraiser, more Prisms and more Immortals.
Yeah. You know, Hellraiser has been very vocal over the last few days on Twitter as well. But it's kind of hard to read his sarcasm because he's like whining about Protoss all the time, even though he plays Protoss. But then I'm like, does he actually believe some of it, or is he just like making fun of everybody else?
That's the real alpha move. You know, he's getting inside everybody's head. So like, typical Protoss player complaining about Protoss?
All right, I like where this is going, by the way. Take a look at the adapts. The adapts are going to start shading up right now. If that probe...
Whoa! Nice, so close.
Yeah, it's going to be Stargate against Stargate, by the way, guys. And that's, of course, interesting.
These games have the potential to get really wild, right?
Yeah. I expect Oracles, but if they both know that it's Stargate against Stargate, then there is a good chance.
Phoenix possibly, right?
Yeah, but I think Drogo, well, Drogo's not playing here, but I think Drogo's not a big fan, I think, of Phoenix against Phoenix in general. GunGFu opens up with the Phoenix. He's not afraid of it. Let's see what Hellraiser decides. Oh, Hellraiser decides to go with the Oracle.
Kevin, out of curiosity, they made the change like in the last 6 months, right? That if you get graviton beamed, the shield battery can heal the probe, right, while it's lifted. Do you feel like that has affected anything?
Tiny bit, certain. Well, it's not even just a probe. I think it affects more if you want to go for Gateway Stalker all in. Because then if you lift the Stalker near a shield battery, the Stalker gets healed up. Probes, not really. I mean, the only thing you shouldn't do is fly in with 2 Phoenixes and try to kill a probe. But you shouldn't really have done it anyway, because that takes quite some time in general. So instead of going with 2, you now need to go with 3. Anyway, guys, it's Phoenix against Oracle, but there's a very quick Twilight as a follow-up. So keep a close eye on that, because that could potentially maybe be very quick Dark Templars. Now he's going to go for Blink instead, so that will work out as well.
Oh, God.
This Oracle is so dead.
Brutal. Savage.
Super dead.
Wrecked.
Not bad, but still super dead.
Yeah. And he gets a free Oracle. So nice advantage to start the game for GunGFuBanDa. And Hellraiser, well, he would be way too far behind in terms of Phoenix count to try building his own. So all he can do is get Blink and try to play with those Stalkers. And you know what? Maybe he'll throw in a shield battery and I'll get my question answered by some hard evidence, Kev.
I think the best thing you can do right here if you're Hellraiser, he's chrono boosting out Blink and Probes, and I think that's the only thing you kind of want to do. I'm sure that he would love to get a Robo, but first, his economy is actually quite good. So even though it really hurts, don't get me wrong, opening up Oracle, getting 0 kills is a terrible scenario. But look at the probe count of Hellraiser. He's at 38 already. So let's say he's going to lose 4 or 5 probes soon, right? That's pretty inevitable. We all know it's going to happen way down the line. That's something that he can actually recover from.
Yeah, it's not too bad. We see him grab 2 of the probes, pull it back. One of the Phoenix, we can see, is yellow health. The other ones are all doing okay, just a bit of shield's been peeled off thus far. Plus, we have the Forge coming in for Hellraiser. So he's going to get into those attack upgrades. And this, I mean, eventually, it all kind of leads back down to the same road, right, Kev? It's, I imagine we'll get Twilight Councils, Charge, Templar Archives, anything else, and we're in weird territory. Yeah,
it's actually, in a way, it's not looking that bad for Hellraiser, and this is not something we'd normally say when somebody opens up with an Oracle, gets absolutely 0 kills.
Right.
But yeah, he's just going to go up to 3 bases very quickly. He knows that making this many Phoenixes is pretty damn expensive, so he feels like he can get away with it. Now, obviously, it is important for Hellraiser that he gets charged right after this. I'm sure he will. The only thing I'm kind of missing is a Robo, because like we see that Hellraiser is making a lot of correct choices here, and that's fine and all, but he is so blind. He's gambling a lot here actually, because he has absolutely no idea what's happening on the other side of the map. There's no sentry, the Stalkers are just chilling at home. He will grab his first Phoenix here, so that's nice. Well, he gets the second one. Ooh, actually really good. I mean, now in the end he only lost 4 probes with 2 Phoenix. Really good game by Hellraiser, but like I said, he's playing pretty crazy because he still doesn't have a Robo. He hasn't scouted anything on the other side of the map, but hey, he's got a good economy, he's got Blink, he's got Charge on the way. So he's making a game out of this. Look, is he still doing this without a Robo? The boy is crazy.
Yeah, he's going for the interesting composition choice. Okay, Robo finally starts up. His Charge is halfway done. +1 attack's almost ready, so he's going to take the Stalkers forward, try to do maybe a little bit of Pokerino, and then just Blink away.
I think he caught the tail end of that probe there, so he's going to find a probe. There are 2 Adepts making their way over to the other side of the map, and I don't think that Hellraiser is aware of this, and we all know how quickly 2 Adepts can turn a game upside down.
Yeah, those Adepts can be absolutely savage. And Charge just now starts up for GunGFuBanDa. Templar Archives is coming in. And in terms of the unit count difference, so he's got the 2 Immortals. His Prism's about to finish up, but his upgrades are not quite there yet. Maybe by the time he gets across the map, he could try to do something. But that's actually going to be kind of hard to do with all these Stalkers out in the field.
Yeah, you want to be a bit careful because there are still a couple Phoenixes out there, but I'm actually kind of impressed with the position that Hellraiser got himself in. Because once again, an Oracle killed absolutely 0 workers. Oh, these 2 adapts are gnarly though. They're already getting 4 workers. He should be able to get 1 more if the focus fire is there, but he shoots at the Zealot twice, so he's not getting it 1 more. But yeah, I actually kind of like Hellraiser's position.
Yeah, I mean, just being able to be on the map with these Stalkers, because they kind of suck, right, in the straight-up fights. It's not the unit that you want in terms of the supply. So if you can catch, you know, like maybe the Warp Prism or snipe something off the front line, that can be really big. And here we go. He's got a bunch of charged Zealots coming in. GunGFuBanDa starting up a bit of a wall at the top of this ramp. Really like that. Choking up where the Zealots want to go through is not a bad play at all. And he has a unit at the Watchtower that will see this army repositioning too.
There are 2 shield batteries, and there is 1 more shield battery on the way here defensively. I actually really like this defensive setup by GunGfu. I don't think you ever want to run into this, especially not because Hellraiser is pretty Zealot heavy, and I understand that he wants to get something going with these Zealots, but fighting Archons near shield batteries, I mean, that's what the Zealot Nightmares are made of, Nate.
Yep, this is a lot of units too. We've got 22 Zealots in this army with charge for Hellraiser, but there are a few Archons. He has the hallucinated one in there as well, trying to scare his opponent away. Running Zealots into a choke versus Archons is one of the few ways you can throw away a supply lead like this.
You know what would be sick? If Hellraiser just blinks the Stalkers into the main base and sends the Prism there, drops 4 Zealots. He can get a massive army into the main base, and then he can maybe do something with his remaining units over here near the shield batteries. But like, he's looking for an opening, but he's got to commit real soon because his army is going to fall off. These Phoenixes are going to be annoying because there's no shield battery in that. You were spot on. That's a juicy pylon right there. -4 gateways. I love this move, but imagine +5 or 6 blink Stalkers here.
Oh my god, shutting down 4 of the warp gates is pretty sick though. He's going to try to pull back some of the Zealots there.
I mean, the Archons are just kind of destroying the Zealots. Hellraiser could go for 1 more big warp in, but this is why I would have loved to see him bring the Stalkers here, because then it's not just a harass anymore. No, then it's a full-on frontal attack in the main base that you truly have to respect, and GunGfu would most likely have to recall quite a few units.
Yeah, so not going to be able to do that. 4th base is going to start instead. GunGFuBanDa starts with Dark Shrine, both players getting +3 attack. Interestingly, I mean, GunGFuBanDa hasn't really, outside of the Phoenix being thrown back across the map, he's just been content to sit back and just chill. Does get Hellraiser's Warp Prism, very nice.
He probably feels that his army is slightly better, and he's not wrong in that regard, right? He's got 3 Immortals, Hellraiser has 0. First one is on the way for our Ukrainian Protoss, though. Like, I think the the Blink Stalker is obviously not great, don't get me wrong, but there is some potential for them in these slightly smaller fights, right? The 120, 130 supply army fights, they can often blink towards the right side and maybe get a full volley on an Immortal or snipe that Prism, like you said. But yeah, the longer this game goes on, the more indeed these Stalkers are going to fall off, and the more comfortable most likely GunGfu is going to feel with his army composition, because he's going to be like, well, you're still running around with a bunch of Blink Stalkers, what are you going to do about it? And Hellraiser's like, well, not much, I guess.
Dark Shrine is on the way for Hellraiser too, so both players want to have access to the Dark Templar technology for the counterattacks. 4th base starts now, very late for GunGFuBanDa relative to Hellraiser's, which is already mining. And Hallucinated Phoenix going forward to scout again, sees the Stalker ball. And if he moves out, the counterattack, Hellraiser's ready. He's got the War Prism. He's got a bunch of Zealots already there. So let's see what happens as GunGFuBanDa is moving across the map. He's going to use those Phoenix to prevent the Stalkers from blinking away. But his Prism gets pretty low, though.
Yeah, that's scary, right? Because nobody truly wants to commit.
He started another one already.
Yeah, I can absolutely get behind it. Let's see if the counterattack of Hellraiser can get some damage done. These Phoenixes still being very useful in keeping Prisms outside of the main base. I'm afraid that Hellraiser is slowly but steady digging his own grave here, because I still feel like he's working with an inferior army, and he's floating a lot of money. He's trying to get something going, but I don't know what the Immortal's doing over there.
Yeah.
I'm starting to get a little bit worried here, Nate.
No, you're spot on, Kev. This is a weird position to be in, because GunGFuBanDa not only has that Immortal count lead that we've been talking about all game, he's also got 1 extra Archon in this. He's kind of gotten the Zealot count lead, Hellraiser still. That's about his one advantage. Of course, we saw in that last best of 3, of course, that if you get all your Archons to shoot at the Zealots at the start of the fight, you can kill 30 Zealots without too much trouble. But getting a cancel in that 4th base is very intriguing, because he takes another Nexus in the very top right, but Hellraiser can transfer probes to his 4th, and he's actually getting a 5th now, too.
Yeah, no, obviously Hellraiser is doing this well, but now he's just adding more and more gateways. And I kind of like what GunGFu is doing. He's like, I will get a robo. I actually think both could be good here, believe it or not. I actually think Colossus could be very useful here too. That's a very big recall. Big Warp Prism in the main base as well. But GunGFu can obviously go for the Disruptors as well, and especially against a man with 30 plus Zealots.
So many DTs here. It's like an in-control Warp Prism, Kev. He's going to be able to take out the Forge, deny the +1 shield. He can actually, I was going to say, with that many DTs, he could have picked anything to kill. So getting rid of denying the upgrades is not bad. But yeah, he's got the Observer there. Saves 3 of the DTs.
He should have absolutely killed the Dark Shrine. You know, during all of this, GunGFu is actually moving out with his main force. There aren't that many shield batteries here. Look at this one Archon, by the way, on the left side of this Nexus by Hellraiser. It's just... No, Hellraiser can take this fight, and you know, the numbers are close, and bases-wise, it looks good for Hellraiser, but I really feel that GunGFu is running away with this game.
Yeah, he's got a lot going. Whoa!
Don't do it. Oh my God, there were DTs inside of that as well. No, that was the other prison.
Oh, that's my heart just stopped for a moment. I think he got it with the. He recalled that prism. That was his second one because he thought he was going to lose the first one when he was fighting on the top side against the Stalkers. 43 Zealots.
Yeah, but 2 Disruptors already, 2 more on the way. We're going to get some juicy hits this game, Nate. I can feel it. These Purification Novas are going to hit hard.
At what point do you ask yourself if you have too many Zealots, Kevin?
I think Hellraiser is about to ask himself that after, in roughly 45 seconds from now.
Okay. The Disruptor shots go out, doesn't land.
Very trigger happy to actually send both forward immediately, but he's got 2 more on the way. One more starts showing up. I do like that Hellraiser is playing up his army a little bit, looking for openings with his Zealots.
I mean, both players are maxed out, and GunGFuBanDa has more workers, so he doesn't actually have as big of an army technically, supply-wise.
But he's got Disruptors.
That's true. Hellraiser has a bank as well, so there's a couple of things at play for both sides. It's going to be coming up now, chasing this down. Getting rid of the Observers is really huge if he can get the rest of them too, because then the DTs become an option again. He still has 1 mixed into his army, and even that damage that it adds is
These Phoenixes
huge.
Can start lifting an Immortal or something. Well,
yeah, there you go.
Yep.
There you go.
Finally lifts one, kind of forcing this fight. Hellraiser, you really don't want to take this fight.
Oh
that is a bad warp in.
I need more Zealots.
No, you don't, that's the thing. Hellraiser does not need more Zealots here.
And he's going to throw the Disruptor Ball out. Oh, that was a good shot. Breaks the rocks open, so he's got him caught off now. Oh my God. He got a bit of his own army there.
Yep. And this is, I don't see any way for Hellraiser to engage this. Like, he needs his own Disruptors, or he needs something else that's very good against it. He starts making Phoenixes now, but he doesn't need 1 Phoenix. He's going to need like 6, 7, 8, 9 Phoenix
to deny that.
Yeah. Well, this is definitely not looking good for Hellraiser. The Warp Prism, he gets the Warp Prism with 2 Disruptors inside of it, I believe there. I mean, there is a backup Prism, but that's still a nice pickoff. Yep,
and he's going to continue to push forward. The Guardian Shield helps too. Phoenix almost gets that that last Observer.
GunGFu's got a lot of money as well. He too can start making 16 extra Zealots.
Nothing I love more than adding a bunch of Zealots with the Warp Prism Rotterdam.
Well, this is starting to look really bad for our Clash Protoss, that is Hellraiser. I really don't know what play he's supposed to make in, Nate. I feel like he has inferior attack. Everything that he has, GunGFu's got as well.
He's getting pushed into the mass Archon strategy because of how many Zealots he's been warping in.
But that's straight up terrible against Disruptors. Like, Archons can't obviously avoid Disruptor shots. It's a really good little run by. I have the feeling that a pretty exciting PvP will come to an anticlimactic end here, because I just think that Hellraiser is kind of dead.
Yeah, not a whole lot going for him. Oh my God, just breathe on it. Throw a stone, throw a pebble. Pick something up off the ground and chuck it. There you go. You get
Wait, what? Who got it?
1 Zealot.
The Chad.
The Chad lot got it.
Few more Purification Novas will go forward. Archon after Archon does go down. The Stalkers only show up out of nowhere. I mean, GunGFu is making this really hard on himself. Hellraiser's got his own Disruptor, and he does fire, and he gets a little bit of damage done. I love how the army that is 65 supply is chasing the army with Disruptors that is 95 supply.
That was amazing. GG, well played. GunGFuBanDa takes game number 1 in what has started off as a very, very promising little PvP series here. Peak Zealot. 43 Zealots for that final fight when he pushed them up towards the top center base.
I honestly thought that the start was all right for Hellraiser. Now, of course, opening up Oracle, losing it, a bit unlucky perhaps because, you know, those decisions were made before the initial scout. So that was definitely a bit unlucky. But I actually kind of liked his response. He's like, nope, going to chrono boost out as many probes as I can. I'll cut a corner or two because I need to get my Blink Stalkers out. And then at one point, I actually kind of liked his position. But then it's obviously important that you start doing something with all of the units you have. Because he makes a lot of basic units, a lot of Zealots, a lot of Stalkers, which he needed, obviously, to recover from that start because he lost his Oracle. But I really felt that the key moment in the game is when he clearly tried to attack the third base, but he's like, nope, I can't do that.
Yeah, he gets the Prism in the main, gets the Pylon, and you mentioned he didn't bring the Stalkers over, which could have helped a lot because it was just a few Archons that completely shut it down.
Like, he had slightly more gates as well, I believe, in that phase. So imagine if he shows up there with 4 Zealots, warps in 8 more Zealots, and then you blink into the main base with 5 Stalkers, then you force out the recall, and that maybe opens up the top side of the map as well. But if you are working with the inferior army, you got to be a little crazy, you got to be a little YOLO with it, because the longer the game goes on, Zealots are great, but eventually you're going to find yourself with 43 Zealots.
43 Zealots against Disruptor Archon. And it's not looking all that good, Kev.
No. That's when even the Zealot, believe it or not, guys, starts falling off.
Yes. Yes, it does. Cyber Forest is map number 2. And we will get this one going. Once you make sure you get in the lobby.
Yeah.
Hope you guys have been enjoying the start of our show today so far, of course, as we've got the finals for Challenger coming up next weekend. It's been a nice month of StarCraft. Lots of StarCraft. Been here every weekend. We've got GSL finals coming up soon too.
Yeah, when is that? Sunday or?
I guess. I think so.
Or do they postpone it for like a week?
They are. It's not like today or tomorrow. I think it's the next weekend, I would guess, yeah.
Okay, but that's Home Circle weekend as well then.
Maybe it's right before then? I don't know.
All right, well, guys, let us know. Spread it in the chat.
We have had 4-hour periods between when GSL has ended and our show has started, so it's not the most unbelievable thing.
No, that was actually, as a European streamer, those were the nightmare days, Nate. It's like, I wake up in the morning.
When am I supposed to stream?
It's like GSL's on. It's like, that's actually kind of cool. You watch like 2.5 hours of GSL and it ends at like 2 p.m.
All right, guys, going to boot up a
time.
cheeky stream. Oh, wait, WCS is on for 10 hours now.
Yep. I was like, I've got a 90-minute window over here that I can play a couple of low-level ladder games myself. Nah, it's going to be really fun. Like you said, a really fun month of StarCraft with the Challenger broadcast, obviously. A lot of online stuff still happening, but of course GSL Finals, Home Story Cup is coming up, and even WCS Summer is actually only a couple of weeks away.
Oh yeah, that's coming up too. The StarCraft action never stops. It's all your guys' fault for watching the game and supporting it and playing it. Can't believe you guys would allow such a wonderful thing to continue. Thank you all for hanging out with us on your wonderful Sunday. And call your dad too, right? It's Father's Day. Shout out to everybody out there doing what they can for their families. And make your kid play StarCraft like my dad did. I think I almost turned out all right. Probably could have picked a better race, but he did the best he could.
Still blame your dad for that?
No, he got me Brood War. To be fair, all I did was Carrier Rush and Brood War. Carrier Rush, Cannon Rush.
So you played Protoss and now you end up with Terran and you're complaining? Oh, Nate Reno.
I never said I made good choices with my life, Kev.
So let's talk a little bit about this game. Cyber Forest is, of course, a very tiny map. GunGfu is going for a very traditional 2-gate Cybercore openings with a Scout. Hellraiser is once again, Nate Reno, doing his little 1-gate Cybercore build, and is most likely going to proxy a robotics facility. No, maybe Stargate. It feels like a Stargate.
Do it. Proxy the robo. There we go.
Should have stuck with my first guess. The 1-gate robo. It's like one of those things that nobody would ever see it coming.
No.
That's why it's great.
No.
Because now he's going to build 2 more gateways, and people will be like, why didn't you just open with 2 gateways to begin with? It's like, because I like to make things confusing.
It's like, well, I know the commentators don't know what's going on, so.
Yeah, it's probably going to be very great. I'm expecting just 3-gate. Ooh.
Is he going to see it? This is why you put it on the high ground, ladies and gents, because you have to go up there to see it.
Now this gets actually really interesting. It is the 3-gate robo, like I guessed, and it's probably just going to be 1 War Prism, right? I don't even think that he's necessarily going to make an Immortal out of this. It's probably just like Trigate Prism pressure. Now GunGFu is going for the Stargate. If he makes an Oracle, now obviously the Oracle is going to have a lot of potential. It is an Immortal. The Oracle is going to have a lot of potential on the other side of the map, but I actually think, Nate, that the better unit choice here would be the Phoenix once again, because Phoenix is truly shut down these kind of robotics facility builds when it's one base against one base.
Yes. They can do a lot against that. It also makes it really hard to do anything with like a Warp Prism, right?
Yep.
So,
no, absolutely.
because a lot of these builds are going to hinge on your Prism control. Of course, the Immortal is nice, but let's see what can happen. He's still patrolling in the natural of his opponent, so he's like, okay, something weird's happening. There we go. Phoenix sees everything.
Yep, and GunGFu goes Phoenixes, and I think that's a really, really smart decision by our German Protoss. And I'm starting to get a little bit worried here, man. This is not working out greatly for Hellraiser. He is going to be forced to at least try. I think if Hellraiser is smart, he's going to test the waters, he's going to show up with his little army, and then he's going to realize that he's just not going to win the game with his build, and then it will be better for him to expand and take the game from there. Not a pretty or lovely scenario, but normally Hellraiser should never, ever, ever be able to break GunGFuBanDa here.
Yeah, this really just comes down to GunGFuBanDa's control. He knows what's going on. He's got a good setup against what's coming his way. He just needs to execute his defense, and everything should be okay. But there is, of course, always opportunity. It is StarCraft 2. It is not just a game of rock, paper, scissors. There is control. There are choices that can be made to try and turn the tides in your favor. Comes back, gets that sentry. Amazing pick off there for GunGFuBanDa. And Hellraiser's going to be able to take down one of the gateways, so he's going to be able to limit the production of our defending player a little bit. But, man, he's getting his own Immortal out, Kev, and that's going to really help solidify this defense.
I actually think it would have been better if GunGFu stops making sentries. Like, he made another sentry, and that's 100 gas. That's a lot of gas in this phase in the game. I honestly think just make Immortal Phoenix, man. Like, if I play against this build that Hellraiser is doing here, Immortal Phoenix all the way. You can always warp in a couple of Zealots if you are floating too many minerals, but I don't think you have to prioritize, like, holding the ramp that much. I can get behind it because this works too, because he's going to be able to do a little bit of economic damage, but you have to be a bit careful, because what happens if Hellraiser would immediately like elevate those units into the main base, right, with the Prism? Things could get dicey, but the Phoenixes do force the recall, and GunGFu defended this, I mean, without any issues at all, kind of like we predicted. And from here on out, it's not going to be a nice game for Hellraiser, because in the previous game he dealt with the Phoenix arrest with Blink Stalkers. This game, Nate, he's not going to have Blink Stalkers for a very, very long time.
Nope, he will not. He still has the Phoenix, of course, so the harass does not necessarily need to end. And if something happens that he should get into like a little cheeky engagement, what have you, there's always the potential that he tries to get the snipe on something like the Sentry to open things up for himself. He is getting a Warp Prism with this Nexus, so everything is on the table, as it were.
Ooh, maybe if these armies clash, maybe some miraculous force fields here out of Hellraiser, but instead it's going to be the force field from GunGFu. There is a Warp Prism to save a couple of these units, but oh man, I'm starting to get really worried, Nate, for Ukrainian Protoss. I think in game 1, you know, unfortunate with the build order in game 2, kind of unfortunate as well, but I think there was some real potential in game 1. And I have to be very honest, I don't really see a lot of potential here for Hellraiser. Of course, he's building up an army, and this game will probably go on for a while, but GunGFu's lead may not look that big in numbers, but I can guarantee you it's a very, very big advantage.
Yeah, good position to be in. And Hellraiser, well, Kev, he's going to try to take an interesting approach to bringing this game back. Resonating Glaives out of his Twilight Council. So, big Adept energy is what he is going for. Interested to see how that fares. Of course, we know Adepts, the bigger the armies get, the more units, especially if Archons make it their way onto the field, the Adepts kind of become bad. Well, yeah, they become bad. They're not really that good in the big fights. However, in the small to medium range ones, with the attack speed that they have before there's a huge number of charge zealots, they can get a little bit of work done.
Yep. No, I think it's an all-right move. I'm not going to say that I think it's going to work, but I think out of all the choices he has, I think this is one of the better ones, because it can hit really fast. It can maybe catch your opponent off guard.
Whoa!
You can potentially get a massive, what is it?
GunGFuBanDa is doing it too.
Yeah, Adepts against Adepts.
I feel like I don't remember the last time I saw resonating glaive Adepts versus each other though, like this. It's a little bit.
Does GunGFu have any shield batteries in his natural? Can we take a look at that?
Just 2.
Okay, well that
field. He has 1 in the natural. one in the main.
The one shield battery is already very gnarly. I do love this move by Hellraiser. Obviously, it's hard to pull stuff like this off and your opponent has Phoenixes on the map, but hey, he's getting it done. He was able to sneak in a couple of adepts. He's gonna let it finish up, unfortunately. Whoa, misclick there. He lifted his own property.
Maybe he just didn't want the adept to hit it.
No,
that's a mistake. Yeah.
But I like that you tried to defend it there. The biggest problem is that adepts are not that good against basically anything that's not light armored, especially not if they're near a shield battery. So if I'm GunGfu right now, I don't have one shield battery in my natural. No, I'll probably get 2 or 3. That's exactly what he's going to do as well. He gets a cannon there, I believe, as well in the mix. It's kind of a nice little balance, right? Like a cannon and 2 shield batteries. And I mean, Hellraiser kind of knows it, that he's on the clock. His army does look big, and he's got glaives, and GunGfu does not have glaives. Can he get some magic done here, Nate?
Yeah, GunGFuBanDa's glaives very close to finishing. It's going to happen in just a few seconds. So he holds off the first wave of this attack, which is really significant because, as we're about to see, now he not only has resonating glaives, but Roddy, with this, outside of the Zealot counterattacking, his +1 attack is about to finish up too. So GunGFuBanDa will not only be even on in terms of the tech, but he's going to be ahead on that +1, which when you're both using the same unit like the Adept with how fast it attacks, becomes pretty significant.
Yep. And unfortunately, I mean, Hellraiser is like, well, I'm still behind. So for a second there, he was going for a Dark Shrine. Yeah, he's still going for a Dark Shrine.
About to finish.
Yep, but then you take a look at the natural of GunGfu, and it's like, oh, there's a cannon. Yeah, that's right. We take a look at the main base. There's a cannon as well. And there is a robo with an observer out already. So, I mean, obviously DTs have done crazier things in this game, and it got scouted on top of all of that. Wow. So, yeah, I have a hard time believing that this Dark Shrine is going to have a massive impact on the game.
Yeah, hallucinated Phoenix scouts. Got the 2 Immortals inside of the Warp Prism here for GunGFuBanDa. They'll try and do some harass while his army approaches the natural expansion. It could hurt him a lot if he, I mean, I guess it depends on how much he commits with how many resources he's going to put into the DTs from the Prism. If he does, because he actually pulled the Prism back since his Phoenix saw the army coming, and now this Pylon will see it too.
I mean,
the Dark Shrine's not going to end up being a factor just yet if he's worried about being attacked at the moment. I think it might be better for him to get the Archon. No, okay, he's going to go for the attack. But you talked about it, he's already got the cannon and the shield battery, so it really just comes down to reaction time for GunGfu.
Yep, and there is a pretty serious attack in the main base as well. 2 of these gates are going to get unpowered. The Twilight Council gets unpowered. 2 more gates, and the Forge gets shut down as well. I mean, I feel like kind of this is it, Nate. It's now or never for these Dark Templars and Zealots to somehow miraculously win the game. Maybe kill the cannon, kill the robo, and then somehow get the observer. I don't know how it's ever supposed to happen, but...
He got the cannon in the main base, so he's got something going for himself. Probes are starting to die, too. So the little bit of momentum building up. These Immortals getting a lot done as well on the other side of the map. Worker count dead even after all of this. Big trades being made on both sides. Actually going down to that natural. Exposes himself to the other photon cannon, which does help. So DTs have been cleaned up. And I think there's still something else inside of the main base, but these Immortals gonna go out swinging.
Yeah, one of the big problems here as well is, of course, the Forge, right? It is +2 done for GunGfu, +1 unpowered on the side of Hellraiser. He's gonna try to repower his Forge at this point. He's going for Colossus, and I also don't hate it, but it kind of just feels that every single decision.
Nothing's working.
No, nothing is working, guys, and it really goes back to the beginning of the game. His build is a pretty big investment. He's got a late robo. He goes up against the Phoenixes that just shut this down. And GunGfu's actually played a very, very safe and greedy, not greedy, opposite of greedy even, game behind it. So he never had the massive worker lead, but what he always had is the tech advantage, the upgrade advantage, a tiny worker lead, and the potential to create a bigger worker lead with his Phoenixes. So Hellraiser, kind of, his hands are tied, man. There is almost nothing he can do. It's a slow and steady and painful death, but that's just kind of what it's been.
Yep, and now GunGFuBanDa moving out. Monstrous supply lead, and he can punch his way through with everything. In fact, those Phoenix, they can hit the Colossus too, so he doesn't even have to start lifting stuff up. Of course, he can lift up the Sentry, he can lift up the Immortal, but Guardian Shield may not be as big of a factor. Force Fields against the Archons won't do too much, and he can shade, so the Adepts are going to shade forward, picks up the Immortal and kills it. It can be a bit tricky though, right? Because the Colossus does the splash damage versus the light units. So it's not that they're necessarily going to be bad versus the Adepts, just comes down to the supply difference.
Not at all. It's actually kind of a good move so far. Maybe with a few more good force fields, there's actually a tiny bit of hope. I mean, that went better for Hellraiser than anything else in this game, and Thermal Lens wasn't even done yet. It would have been amazing to see what would have happened if GunGFu actually would have committed there with his adepts, because then there is a chance, kind of like this, he's going to maybe try to pounce on this army from the left side. Hellraiser does not know where those heavy hitting units are right now. He doesn't know about these Immortals and Archons on the left side.
The Adepts are going to try to shade over. Gets canceled at the last second.
Obviously, the Archon's going to break the force fields.
Yes. And now, as that army steps out away from the batteries, he can pinch him here. So he shouldn't be able to retreat back to his base, but that does mean he can warp in at home to attack from both sides of the wave of Adepts. Is going to roll up. Needs to bring those Phoenix over. The Colossi, of course, do a really good job against the Adepts, but Jake, we've been talking about this all game, Kev. There's just not enough on the table for him, and GunGFuBanDa is going to take the series 2-0. Well done. And he eliminates Hellraiser from WCS Challenger this season.
What I'll absolutely take away from this best of 3 is that GunGFu's got a lot of patience, man. He's absolutely not in a rush or eager to end games quickly. I think he's very good in analyzing his position in the game. Like, we see everything, he doesn't. But with the way that these games played out, he always had more map vision than his opponent.
Yep.
And he just stayed very calm, very collected. He's like, nope, I know you're on the clock. You're going to do this. So not greedy, doesn't overbuild workers. Like, I think from time to time, he absolutely could have created a bigger lead for himself. But the lead was always there. It was always significant, and that's why we kept mentioning it. And sometimes it doesn't really translate to numbers, but it really seems that GunGFu at any given moment in both games knew exactly where he was in these games. And yeah, it was not spectacular. It wasn't crazy, fancy. But hey, he gets the job done, and he wins 2-0 by just controlling both games from start to finish.
Yep, crushed it. Did a really good job, too, defending against that proxy robotics facility. We got to keep in mind it was a weird game. And good disruptor usage against the mass Archon charge lot army in game number 1. So that does mean that our player will be moving up to the decider match. So as far as today's series are concerned, we do have a few left for our Group D of WCS Challenger Europe Edition. And coming up next is going to be that winner's match, which should be very exciting. That is going to determine who makes it out in first place, as we all know, and then who will drop down to face off against GunGFuBanDa. But this winner's match, I think it's going to be a little bit difficult for Drogo. We do have a clear favorite in this group, Roddy.
Yep, I think Reina comes in as the clear favorite, obviously, for today. Maybe even as one of the top favorites for the entire Challenger, right? Of course, a lot of eyes are always going to be on Sero. Sero is the reigning champ when it comes to Challenger, when it comes to the last circuit event as well. But Reina is our winter champion, and we know that he has what it takes to go very far, if not take it all. So I'm with you, but Drogo's been playing damn good StarCraft lately, so I don't think it's going to be easy for Reina.
That's what's coming up next, ladies and gentlemen. Our winner's match, Protoss versus Zerg, Petit Drogo versus Raynor. We'll be right back.